Let Me Illustrate, a podcast series putting the spotlight on board game artists.
Hi, my name is Jacqui Davis. I've been a board game artist since 2012. I became a board game artist after graduating uni. I studied 2D animation there. I was looking for studio work in animation and picked up freelancing on the side. At the time, conceptart.org was a thing, and I was looking through the jobs there. It ended up taking off, and I enjoyed board game work so much I stuck with it. I'd say the art style I'm best known for is a sort of, cartoony Disney-esque sort of style. Nothing too child-orientated, but nothing too serious either. I really enjoy doing character designs. That's what I loved the best of my animation course. So I'd really like to get a character into things. The first board game I was an artist on is actually a tie between two games. Formula E for, at the time, Game Salute, and Viticulture for Stonemaier Games. With Viticulture, I was only a copy artist helping out with a few characters. Most of the art was done by Beth Sobel. But because I'd worked on that game with Jamie, I ended up working on Euphoria, which again is one of the first games I worked on. I'd say the games I'm most proud to have worked on are those early games. So Formula E, Euphoria, and Belle of the Ball, because they're what really got me into the industry and what kept me interested. I like creating artwork that has a lot of life and a bit of fun in it. And one of my favourite things to do is sort of invent a world for the game if I can. That's why games like Belle of the Ball or more recently Reload for Colossal Games are so much fun, because you're not just doing that particular asset for the game, you're imagining the story behind it. I get my inspiration from a lot of places. I follow a lot of great artists on Twitter, so that always keeps you wanting to create when you see everyone else's, fantastic work on your feed every day. The other thing I'd say I get a lot of inspiration from is history. I'm a big fan of sort of anything medieval or ancient history or prehistory. So I'll often go through different periods for different costume ideas, that sort of thing. For me, the most challenging part of making art for board games specifically is keeping in mind that, this game has to be played as well. So envisioning the illustrations with graphic design and layout and playability, keeping that all in mind. I tend to want to just make a pretty illustration that tells a story and have to remind myself that, people are going to want to play this game as well. That's why it's always great to work with a good graphic designer and art director. It's really great to work as a team and have that communication bouncing, ideas back and forth so that we get, a final, good product that hopefully everyone will like. I'm not sure if it's the most important part of making art for board games, but definitely for me the most fun bit is working on the cover, because that's when you tend to just be able to get loose and just have a lot of fun. But I do think the most important thing for me is good communication with the client and trying to understand the vision that they have for the game and the art in their head and getting that nailed down right. So that I find can be most tricky, but if you get it right, then it tends to lead to a better project, I find. I think the longest I've worked on a board game, the art, is for Reload. And that's just because we worked on it on and off for several months, because there can be periods where you work on a project and then you wait for feedback, etc. So that can increase the lifespan of a project a fair bit. And I think on Reload, what took the longest was there's a fair array of weapons in the game. And weapons are not my natural habitat, so I wanted to get them right. So that took a fair bit of back and forth before we were all happy with them. In my view, I think I'd like to see, more variation in the art of board games, so, more styles. What I love is all the current artists who are out there and who are getting into the industry at the moment, is there's not just one prevailing style over everything. Everything doesn't look the same. And it's really great to see all this beautiful artwork being made. And leaping off from that, I think my favourite artists in the industry at the moment are Andrew Bosley, who did Everdell, and also Vincent Dutrade. I love his work. I met him at Essen a couple of years ago, and after I was pretty starstruck. I just want all of their covers just, as posters for my walls. That would be great. Well, anyone who's seen my work will know I love all the colours, but in terms of my favourite colour, I think it would have to be duck egg blue or teal. Most of my house is decorated in one of those two things. It's a really nice calming colour, but also really cosy. So definitely duck egg blue or teal in everything. What very few people know about me is I actually enjoy writing stories. That's my main hobby outside of work. Is a friend and I, another artist, Katie Grierson, we've been writing a story and developing a world for over a decade now. So that's what I love, is just to write and to create. It's another way of being creative without having to sit and draw. For anyone wanting to become a board game artist, I think my advice would be just, take one or two small jobs and just see where it leads to and keep at it. As I said, if I hadn't taken those few small freelancing jobs in the beginning, I wouldn't have stuck with it and wouldn't be where I am now. I suppose more concrete advice would be, try to meet clients and meet people in the industry if you can. I've only recently started taking my own advice in this front and have been over to Essen Spiel a couple of years, except obviously not last year for obvious reasons. But it's just good to meet people in the industry and shake hands and make friends. I've met a lot of great, actually, fellow artists that way and other people. If anyone wanted to get in touch, they can always reach me at my email address, which is logicfairy@gmail.com. Or find me over at Twitter, also, at logicfairy. Or my website, which is nice and easy, jacquidavis.com. Usually on one of those three things. I'm actually more likely to see emails than I am DMs, if I'm honest. So, yeah, I'm always happy to help out if I can. It's been really fun doing this. I'd like to thank Oliver for the opportunity, and thanks again.
This podcast was made possible by the generous help of my Patreon supporters. Royal Patron Sean Newman, Magic Champion Zeb Hicks, Castle Guards David Miller and James Naylor, Dice Masters Alex Bardi, Paul Grogan and Robin Kay, and Shining Lights Gavin Jones, Sarah Reed, Richard Simpson and Tim Vernick.